Welcome to Planit Butter, my world where I hopefully inspire you to build yours by being Intucentric, an immersive experience. Every episode is designed to provoke consciousness through entertaining perspectives and applied Intucentric philosophy, and recorded in a variety of international locations as I embody my Intucentric way, you reflect on yours, and we experience occasional guest episodes where we visit other worlds and learn something cool. I'm Jordan Alexandra Blizzard Planet. This is From My Planet to Yours. Less of a podcast, more of a variety show, and a very funny approach to a documentary series. Thanks for joining me in episode 111, where we're gonna go on a little adventure with the word neutrality. It's a superpower, it's complex, it's nuanced, it's earned. Let's get into it. As always, email me any questions you have about your world or Planit Butter's life approach. myplanettoyours@gmail.com. myplanettoyours@gmail.com. So, as you may or may now know, Planit Butter has the fastest podcast turnaround time. 99% of the time, we record the same week and release the same week. Often even in the same day. And it's literally because of my Intucentric way, my flow with the universe. Thankfully, the universe always delivers every Thursday, which is why I always see you Thursday. I don't know how, but that's the way it goes. And it's weird because we made up the day Thursday, you know? And somehow the universe meets me with my personal responsibility of Thursday, so claimed by society. And the universe is like, I got you, girl. And we figure it out together. And so this week, neutrality came in pretty hot. I was feeling into it. I'm like, what's this week's episode? Let's see. And I literally just intend, and then stuff happens and it comes. This week, neutrality became very apparent to me from my own interpersonal relationships and my ability to show up in a neutral fashion in certain relationships. And I realized I worked really hard to become neutral. So it was really cool to experience that. And as I was processing my emotions, emotionally regulating my little self, and I realized, neutrality is earned. Oh, and then neutrality just got louder and louder and louder. And that's when I realized, that's this week's podcast episode. Then a visual popped in my little head of one of the pages from my new book, Intucentric, available on planitbutter.com, where I list the words poise, emotional regulation, detachment, responsibility, trust, and indifference. And I saw those words, that page, and I was like, oh, interesting. Those words all really encompass neutrality. So I decided we could start today's episode with reading that section and dig a little bit more into neutrality and just see where the adventure of neutrality really takes us. I'll start by saying that as I was processing neutrality and recognizing that it's earned, that it's complex, that it's a superpower, that it's nuanced, what I was really appreciating about it is that it's very similar to detachment, yet I view neutrality to encompass detachment and actually include attachment, yet remains open. Period. So again, complex, but stick with me. It's your superpower. Neutrality. And when I talk about attachment, it's holding space for the humans that we are, the feelings that we have. A byproduct of our nature is attachment. Attachment in a healthy fashion can be viewed as recognizing desire to a certain extent and it can be balanced in this context of neutrality with that openness of I own and take responsibility for recognizing my desires, and I'm willing and open to whatever needs to unfold, which is part of our responsibility, is therefore remaining in our unique flow, our alignment on our timeline. Alignment through Planit Butter's lens is our role in the universe. And we embody our role in the universe by harnessing the 3 core concepts of being Intucentric. 3 core methods: boundaries, confidence, alignment; self-friendship, the commitment to embracing, understanding, and enjoying ourselves; and the Planit Butter Jet Ring of Consciousness, our cycle for decision making: intuition, sensations, action, sensations again. So with those 3 things operating simultaneously, with neutrality, we are taking responsibility. Yeah, I'm a human with feelings. I have attachment to whatever your context is. And I am open to the unfolding, which encompasses detachment. Detachment to outcome, yet with clarity of intention, desire, feelings, processing, all of that. Yeah? So with that understanding and with that direction, I will now read to you that section that popped into my head where I list those components that essentially create neutrality. So, from this magical book of mine, Intucentric. This is from the chapter titled, Are You Willing to Upgrade? We're here to evolve whether we choose to embrace it or not. It becomes a lot more fun when we embrace it. Intucentric. So, when you inevitably face challenges as your Intucentric self, now again, we're focused on neutrality. So your experience with applying neutrality to whatever's going on in your life may or may not necessarily be a challenge. It likely would be, because you have to work towards the neutrality, which when you work towards something, there's usually challenges, but I'm not going to assume what's going on in your life. So just to ground you, neutrality, neutrality, neutrality. So when you inevitably face challenges as your Intucentric self, you continue to ask, will I commit to my own best interest, or will I go with the familiar? And you commit through Poise, emotional regulation, detachment, responsibility, trust, and indifference. Again, those are the components of neutrality. Poise is under-acknowledged and rare in existence. The prerequisites for Poise are emotional regulation and detachment. Similarly to perspective dancing, we first emotionally regulate, feel whatever we need to feel, then we take our Planit Butter step objective. Up and out of society, detach emotionally, mentally, and physically to the best of our ability, then we can self-reflect and self-connect to clarify our standards and therefore our boundaries. Again, I'll pause here. So notice, we primarily emotionally regulate ourselves, meaning feel what you need to feel, let the emotions run through you. It's just energy. Feel sad if you need to feel sad, be angry if you need to be angry, be ecstatic if you need to be ecstatic. And then when we finish processing that and we're in a bit more of a neutral state, if you will, then we can take the step objective, which is a form of detachment, so that we can re-immerse in the context with more clarity and ability to connect more deeply with ourselves. So when being Intucentric, we're leveraging detachment as a means of greater attachment and depth and relation to ourselves and the given context for the purposes of our own evolution that's in our best interest and most desirable to us. So it's tools. Okay, so onwards with this section. Consider asking yourself, what is the context of this invitation to upgrade? And again, we're talking about neutrality, yet are you willing to upgrade is the question that's ever present to us at any point in our life, because it's constantly inviting us to be the version of ourselves we believe ourselves to be or want to be. Okay? So consider asking yourself, what is the context of this invitation to upgrade? What would be my familiar response to this context? What would be the familiar outcome? What would I like the outcome to be according to your standards? To achieve that outcome or better, what might my boundaries need to be? Does this situation cross those boundaries? This is where we mind our standards. We do not change our standards, we take them elsewhere. And that, we'll pause again, is a significant aspect of earning neutrality. Recognizing our standards, that becomes a form of our attachment. And when we take them elsewhere, we are neutral, so we have that balance of we know our boundaries, we know our standards, which becomes our attachment, and we are open, therefore detached to outcome. So all we know is our boundaries, and I'm going to keep respecting them, and the right things will come. And what are the right things? The thing that respects our boundaries and makes us feel empowered, excited, alive, ready to boogie. All right, moving forward. Take that neutrality with us. Sometimes it's difficult to stick to a boundary despite our high standards because we're humans with feelings. Again, that's the attachment that we all inevitably will have, which is why we emotionally regulate and then detach, take a Planit Butter step objective out of society, out of ourselves, so that we can re-immerse more deeply with ourselves and show up that much more empowered in the provided context, that much more neutral as a superpower, because we've chosen to invest in that time to invest in ourselves and our clarity of our boundaries, of our standards, of the direction we want to evolve. Continuing with this section. That's when we harness indifference to sustain our trust in ourselves and the universe, to co-create our desired standards by respecting our boundaries in this moment, even if it's really fucking hard. Lovingly merciless. Which, side note, lovingly merciless, I've talked about on the show a handful of times, I believe, but most specifically the episode that's popping in is, I don't remember the number of the episode, but the title is From Tests to Transcendence. Check it out. Carrying on with this chapter. In our commitment to our own best interest and willingness to upgrade, we respect our boundaries, increase our confidence, and sustain or reconnect with our alignment in doing so. Again, our alignment is many things through the lens of Intucentricism. Alignment is our timeline, our unique individual timeline, our flow on this magical earth, our role in the universe. Continuing, ultimately strengthening our self-friendship and attracting our standards, our yes. When reinforcing a challenging boundary in our willingness to upgrade, we will inevitably oscillate between who we've been and who we want to be. We can welcome this wavering and perspective dance it to be affirming our clarity. This strengthens our confidence to continue to commit to even the tiniest of actions that respect our boundaries and embody our willingness to upgrade. The more actions we commit to, no matter how small, the more we fuel our confidence and solidify our unwavering standards. And again, with neutrality, this is why it's earned, because that oscillation is inevitable. We're not neutral when we're oscillating because we're oscillating. So we don't have the clarity to be neutral. Neutrality also requires clarity because of the processing of our emotions, showing up with poise, practicing trust, demonstrating indifference, and taking responsibility. So when we're oscillating, while we're doing those mix of requirements, we are not neutral. So we lose the neutrality. We lose the access to neutrality during these moments. Yet, because we perspective dance it into affirming our clarity, once we have the ability to effectively perspective dance it, click into that clarity, then we reconnect with the neutrality and we can evolve forward in our desired way. Next bit of this section. Our actions demonstrate to ourselves and to the universe the version of ourselves we want to focus. In choosing indifference and taking our standards elsewhere, we're saying, Uni's got it, and welcoming the universe to work its magic that we don't know about. We then re-immerse in the context empowered with clarity and capable of taking the necessary action to respect our boundaries and embody poise in doing so. And that is the neutrality. Then, if you thought that was cool, watch this, says the universe. And then cool stuff happens. Will you stay willing? What a beautiful way to end that little neutrality bit. And to bring it full circle to being in the flow, I'm going to read to you guys a snippet, including a little bit of the paid section of the Planit Butter publication article from January 11th, 2026, titled Perspective Dance with Kite Surfing. Be the kite. Here we go. I would love kite surfing if I were the kite. Be the kite. I took kite surfing lessons for 3 days in Brazil, achieved body drag level. Yes, that's actually a level. Woke up the 4th day and realized I don't really like it. More of a swimmer. Me, ocean, none of the excess, all of the flow. Me, nature. Now we're gonna skippity-doo-dah. The thing with kiting, the human is controlling the mechanism that orients the kite to flow in the wind. The human's physical orientation is pretty rigid. The kite is fluid. The control, the flow. Be the kite. The kite is extremely responsive to the human's control. The human does a little something something. Literally, it's very fragile. The kite might flow with the wind, or it might crash into the water. The human is in control of the kite. The kite is responding to the human. When the human positions the kite in a strong position, the human can jump really high in the air and do cool tricks. The kite's responsibility is to remain in flow. It does that by effectively responding to the human's control, and the shape of the kite is designed to equal parts effortfully and effortlessly flow in the wind. And in its personal responsibility of flowing through the wind within the human's control, it is effectively leading the human in the direction the human needs to go in order for the flow to remain. It's a team effort. kite, human, wind, ocean. Now, let's take another Planit Butter step objective and recognize that this operating system is in opposition to the nature of an intucentric human. Perspective dance with me. When we're intucentric, we are the kite. The universe is the human. The wind is the wind. The ocean is the ocean. With this new perspective, intucentric beings become responsible for remaining in the flow under the control of the universe. As we effortfully and effortlessly work to remain in the flow of the universe, we are demonstrating to the universe our capacity for flow, which strengthens our positioning and allows the universe to do cool tricks. And we stay in flow. What's the flow? The flow is our alignment, which we talked about a few minutes ago. Now, the roundup. We are fragile little humans, very responsive to the universe's control. Our responsibility is to remain in flow. Enjoy the wind and the ocean while you're at it. Be the kite. Stay neutral. Have fun. Thanks for joining me in episode 111. I will see you next Thursday. As always, email me any questions you have, myplanettoyours@gmail.com. If you want to read or listen to the rest of that article, we have the audio article available as well. That's the listening part on planetbutter.substack.com. And if you want to become Intucentric, you can order the book, ebook, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook coming very soon, narrated by me, on planetbutter.com. See you Thursday. From my planet to yours.